Hi there, it's Nick. I'm going to be going over my iodine clock presentation today. Let's see here. So to start with the setup, I gathered each item that was listed in the example video, the sample video. I did 10% iodine, 3% hydrogen peroxide, the non-GMO cornstarch, a Great Value brand of the distilled water, Spring Valley vitamin C tablets. I did the 500 milligram because we couldn't find the 1,000. And then I labeled 2 mason jars because I don't have any beakers with solution A and solution B on them. I spent a few minutes trying to convert each of the measurements from milliliters to cups because cups are the only unit of measurement I had at the time, or have at the time. And it was interesting, the results. So to start with, solution A, I took the vitamin C, crushed up 2,000 milligrams, so 4 of the 500 milligram tablets, placed them in the beaker, and added 60 mLs of distilled water, roughly a quarter cup. Mixed up powdered vitamin C really well. There were still some clumps like the video says, and I filtered that out through a coffee filter that was made into the coffee maker and 2 other filters because it wasn't filtering enough. And then that took a moment, so I let that filter and moved on to solution B. So solution B was the cornstarch and hydrogen peroxide, and topped off with distilled water. So or topped off with hydrogen peroxide, I apologize. So I did the cornstarch with just the bare minimum tip of the spoon. Threw that in the mason jar, followed that up with 350 mLs, which is roughly about a cup and a half. And mixed all that together with the distilled water, and then added 2/3 cups of the hydrogen peroxide, which is roughly 150 milliliters. Mixed it for a quick second and then just add it to the side. Solution A, went back to that. I did not have the 5% iodine, I had the 10%, so I cut from the the 25 milligram to the 12.5 milliliter solution, and that roughly converted to about 2.5 teaspoons around there. I think I did maybe 3, and then put a little more in there just for good measure. It was still cloudy after filtering it. It wasn't as clear as the video, which bothered me, but doesn't always work out right. But as I added the iodine, it did get darker. I swirled it around like they do in the video, and it got lighter, went back to the original cloudiness, which was cool, so that worked well. And then I topped it off with distilled water, putting the solution A and solution B both around 500 mLs each in the jars. They were pretty equal. So the remainder of the sample video mixed both of them, A and B, into a third beaker or mason jar, even amounts of each. I expected it to work better. It did not. I heated the solution up in the microwave as well, as I do in the video, to see if it would work, if it would decrease that amount of time it took for the color change. Nothing. Waited longer, nothing. Tried it again, nothing. I attempted it off camera, full test again, from A to B all the way through, nothing. Postulated kind of, what I thought could have went wrong. I don't know whether it was the ingredients or my measurements. I could probably bring a syringe home from the clinic I work at and do exact mLs and see how that works, but that's the best I could do. Now, I did expect it to work, so I went ahead and figured out why it would work and why the reaction happens the way it does. The first thing I come across was amylose, which in starch is responsible for the formation of the deep blue color in the presence of iodine. The iodine molecule will slip into the amylose coil and cause that color change. In simple terms, the best way it's been explained to me in the past, and really what I got from the textbook, was the starch is trying to turn the iodine blue. The vitamin C is kind of battling it back, saying no. And as soon as that vitamin C is used up, as soon as that powder is used up, it turns to the blue color. The delay in the reaction is why it's called a clock reaction, because it's time sensitive. Now, the conclusion I had here when I made this presentation is, in the result, test did not prove successful, was still very fun and interesting to attempt. I'm going to continue to try from time to time until I get it right, and then some citations from where I got some of my information. However, while I was making this presentation, oh, I didn't mean to do that, my wonderful wife called me to the sink where all of the mason jars were kind of sitting there after I had emptied them out and whatnot, and the little bit that was left in there had this blue. So the reaction actually worked. It just took a lot longer, apparently, than I was planning on. I mean, you're talking minutes from the time I set those in here and come over to the computer, so it did work. I retract everything that I just said, but the presentation was already made, so successful. This is just a quick view of the setup, so it wasn't the greatest material but or equipment, but it works. Ingredients. This was, you can kind of see how cloudy this is filtered. It's not as clear as I'd like it to be. This was solution B, still pretty cloudy, and this was them mixed together. This is sitting here for probably 2 minutes and still no color change. So it was very delayed. This was after I kind of filled them up about the same before I mixed them. Quick little video of me crushing up the rest of the tablets. I put them in a separate glass, of course, to make sure that I could filter it into the solution A glass. Quick picture of my dog because she's cute. And then just a quick overview. This was the little filter I was talking about. It's made into the coffee maker, but I had to add more filters because it was not filtering near enough. So yeah, all in all, it was actually successful. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So I appreciate you watching. Thanks.